grab at it, right? Look, don't try anything. I got a whole crew surrounding the... Okay, we're skipping that part.
Hey, I'm Rob from Radio Times Gaming, and I've just been playing Star Wars Outlaws for 4 hours. If you've been paying attention, you'll know that this is a Ubisoft single-player open-world game where you play as a scoundrel called Kay Vess. It's been dubbed by some as GTA in space, and you'll have to decide as you go along which of the criminal gangs in the galaxy you want to side with. You'll know all that if you've watched the trailers though, but here are 27 things you might not know that I learned from the preview event.
I'm sorry. I thought you were one of them.
Huh?
NPCs are not to be trusted. One of the first things that happened to me is that I got scammed by this guy on the way into the cantina who told me he could get me VIP tickets to the guy I needed to see. I spent a little bit of time scrounging the money together only for him to scam me with a fake ticket.
I think someone took you for a ride, kid. VIP invite.
Crime pays. You can send Nix, your little cute alien companion, to pickpocket almost anyone.
Nix, go. Fetch.
What?
Nix is the real MVP. Speaking of this guy, he is absolutely adorable. He can do all sorts of things for you, not just stealing. He can press buttons, he can get to places that you can't reach, and he can distract enemies when you're doing stealth stuff as well. Sabacc is hard. You might recognise this card game from Solo, A Star Wars Story. Here it's got a robot dealer, and I found the rules to be quite complicated, and I only had limited time, and that's my excuse for losing every game that I played. Kay, the main character, is from Canto Bight. Speaking of gambling, this will be very familiar to Kay, the character you're role-playing as, because she grew up on that casino planet from The Last Jedi, which, if I remember right, everybody loved at the time. It's more like Assassin's Creed than GTA in space. Although it's easy to compare the game to GTA because of all the criminal gangs and the fact that it has a wanted system, a lot of the gameplay that I saw in these 4 hours was more about sneaking into places undetected, getting the one little clue you need to progress the plot, and trying to sneak out again without being seen. So you can definitely tell it's a Ubisoft game building on some of that Assassin's Creed Mirage stuff they were doing recently. The stealth can be quite strict. I ran across some areas where you literally can't get out your weapons or try and do anything different other than finding the pure stealthy path to get through this area without alerting any of the guards. Enemies aren't too smart. At one point I'd got through a stealth segment and now I was into more of an action segment, and I just found the right point on the way into this base where I could just stand there and shoot all the different enemies as they ran in one by one, which was very helpful of them to line up like that.
What? You never make new friends?
Choices can be quite binary in the game. The main choice I came up against in this demo was the piece of information I'd got to the base. Do I give it to this gang leader or that gang leader? There was no option to kind of be sneaky about it or keep it to yourself or try and play them off against each other for it. That could be just because it was the tutorial though, maybe it gets more morally complex later on. Criminal gangs can be quite forgetful. I was literally just shooting my way through this base, killing a bunch of these guys, and then because I gave the information to their gang leader, now they'll just let me walk into their base scot-free. I stole the information from their base, but now they'll let me just come in. That just feels weird. However, random members of the public have amazing memories. I was walking through a cantina at one point, a person just said wistfully, "Remember pod racing?" Something about how they wished that would come back. And just a nice little detail to remind us, hey, the prequels happened, they were quite a long time ago, but people still remember them. Don't get too attached to one gang. That's one of the lessons the game gives you quite early. I think it says in the menus to expect betrayals or something like that. So don't be afraid to kind of just go with your gut, whatever feels right in that moment. They'll probably betray you later, but you'll get back on track with a different gang anyway. Don't worry too much about Imperial heat. When I arrived on Kijimi, the planet from The Rise of Skywalker, I ran straight into a NPC from the Empire who said, you can just pay them to take off the wanted levels. Droids can cook! I ran into 2 examples of the exact same street vendor droid chopping loads of vegetables. My only worry there is how can they be sure of the flavours? Quests can come from anywhere. This was another thing that reminded me of Assassin's Creed. At points you'll see a prompt on the screen that just says listen, and then Kay will just kind of lean and eavesdrop on someone's conversation, and that's an easy way to pick up extra quests that might lead you to a little cache of swag that you can steal. Exploration is important. This is one element of the game I hadn't really thought much about until I played it, but there are a few more platforming segments kind of dotted throughout where you have to climb up a thing and swing across a thing, which is a bit more like that Jedi Survivor kind of gameplay. Yellow paint is on special. And this might be annoying to some players if you're the type of person that really notices when a game is using like a yellow ladder or a yellow pipe on the floor to show you, hey, this is the way to go. That does happen quite a lot in some of the segments I was playing here. So although exploration is important, sometimes the game will just go, you have to go this way, and that maybe breaks the immersion a bit. Fall damage can be quite strict, and this is another part which is kind of similar to Jedi Survivor. Sometimes you'll see a gap and think, I can jump across that, no problem, and you'll jump into it thinking it's, a safe distance to fall if you had to, and you'll just die immediately and get reloaded somewhere else. A bit annoying. Animals can also guide you. At one point on Kijimi, a space owl flew in and showed me the little ledge I could climb on to infiltrate a base. And that reminded me of Ahsoka, who has those owl things that follow her around, and I like that. Speeder driving is really difficult. I fell off several times, and you do take damage for that. On the flip side, when you're driving on your speeder and you do like a deliberate jump over a cavern, you can land that without taking damage. But if you fall off, which you will all the time, that will damage you, sorry. Arriving at a planet can have some drama. When I arrived at Kijimi, there's like an asteroid field that you have to fly through, and you can see other ships flying through it as well. And that was quite cool, just adds to the sense that we're arriving in a new place, it's got a different type of atmosphere. You can imagine at different planets you'll be dodging different things on your way in and stuff like that. Landing is a cutscene. This again reminded me of Jedi Survivor, that idea of trying to hide where the loading screens are and being like, okay, now you're going to land on the planet and it'll become a bit more cinematic and you'll kind of swoop down there and land there. And I prefer that to the Starfield way of doing it, of just being like, please watch this loading screen for 30 seconds. The hills are alive with the sound of crime. As you explore the open world on various planets, you'll see little kind of open world events, such as pirates raiding a little town. And you can choose if you want to go and get involved in that or try and stop them, or like I did here, you can just keep on driving. Sorry to those people who live there. You will see how the other side live. In the gaps between levels, you will see cutscenes that show you what the baddies have been up to, progressing that story along, which does feel a bit more cinematic than if that wasn't happening. The stakes feel quite small, and again, this could change later on as you get deeper into the story, but the cutscene I saw of the baddies, this guy just seemed to be really annoyed that I'd stolen his ship. I don't know if maybe there will be some more galactic level stuff later on, but the main thing they spoke about was that there is a heist that will be kind of the third act of the game.
Ship scan complete. Nothing of interest.
In space, no one can hear you scream about the mini-games. Star Wars Outlaws, I learned, has at least 2 different kind of lock-picking kind of mini-games. One of them's on a computer screen where it's kind of like Wordle. You have to guess what order the symbols go in and it will tell you which ones you've got right, and then you keep guessing as you go down. And the other one, which was very frustrating, was kind of rhythm-based, and you've got your splicer or whatever they call it, and you kind of have to press it in time with the lights that are flashing, and it's like, is this right? Is this right? Is this right? And you'll probably do it 1,000 times and then get let in. Or maybe I was just struggling for no reason. Finally, you can pet the space dog. Nix, you can pet him at any time, and also, as I was delighted to discover, you can also pet other animals that you meet in the open world. Wholesome stuff.
The Outer Rim is a dangerous place. Everyone is fighting for their piece of the galaxy. But all I want is to live free. So I'm gonna risk it all.
And that's all the cool stuff we learned from our 4 hours with Star Wars Outlaws. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and check out the game when it comes out on the 30th of August for PS5, Xbox and PC.